The United States designating Vietnam and Switzerland as currency manipulators.
Yes, this is kind of an interesting report because for years the debate has been, do we name China a currency manipulator? And the Treasury Department did a year ago, and then in their last report in January took that designation off after the Phase 1 trade deal. Remember that? That was this year. Now it's Switzerland and Vietnam. The U.S. has already filed cases against Vietnam for currency manipulation, particularly in effect to try to affect the sales of certain exports, including tires. The Swiss one is interesting, though, because Switzerland has been manipulating its currency. They would be the first to tell you that because there's so much demand for the haven currency, given the way the world is these days, that they've had to do that or the currency strengthens so incredibly much. There are three criteria that the Treasury Department follows. One is a bilateral trade surplus with the U.S. of at least $20 billion. And this year, so far, year to date, Switzerland is at $51 billion. A current account surplus of at least 2% of GDP, and they're at 8.9%. And foreign exchange purchases of at least 2% of GDP, and they're at 5%. So they meet all the criteria. The only question is it really important? I mean, the U.S. does significant amount of trade with Switzerland. They exported $65 billion worth of goods to us so far this year, and last year it was only 36.5. So a 78% increase this year, but that's largely probably because of the pandemic, and also at this point, there isn't much the U.S. can do about it. The Swiss aren't going to stop. It reminds me, Tom and John and Lisa, of the old Monty Python bit about if you don't stop, I will insult you again. The requirements of the law are that the Treasury Secretary has to engage in negotiations with the Swiss.